YouTube. Counting Ian's back here again. So then we got Liver King shares his thoughts on Andrew Tate and the Manosphere. So for those who don't know, man, Andrew Tate is basically one of the kings of the Manosphere. Now, the Manosphere existed like years ago. It's basically like this area on YouTube that lots of dating coaches and stuff are on. I'm trying to enter it as well, guys. But it's, you know, some people say it's toxic, some people say it's bad. It seems like it's pretty growing nowadays. So it's, you know, trying to help young guys, like trying to, you know, find their way in life or whatever, and not make people, you know, feel like they're, you know, alone or in a kind of a bad situation. I kind of look at it as self-improvement, guys. It's just basically self-improvement. I don't know what the big deal is. Everyone's getting so worked up about nothing. But yeah, let's hear Liver King on his thoughts. Liver King is basically a guy who eats liver and raw foods and, you know, just gets strong and jacked. But yeah, let's get it.
A lot of people point to Andrew Tate and say, like, look at how lost young men are. That they are, you know, sort of finding these guys who have these, you know, arguably misogynistic belief systems, and they're sort of latching onto it because young men feel like they don't have, you know, anybody who cares about them. They feel kind of lost in this world. Do you see yourself as kind of like an antidote to a lot of these problems that the modern man has? And do you consider yourself part of the Manosphere?
I've never heard the Manosphere.
You never heard Manosphere? It's a bunch of men online.
Yeah,
talking about
here's what I'll
their
say.
Self-interest.
I'm on podcasts, and half the time you don't even know this, but I feel like an idiot. And I'll tell you why, because I'm in this primal vacuum, this primal bubble. I don't get the news. I don't consume content.
Right.
Where I don't leave my compounds. I have Liver King Ranch, Lake House, and Beach House. These are places I go. And then when people start talking about other people or policy or politics, I always say, listen, if you can take personal accountability and responsibility and you got your shit in order, now go get your house in order. And if you can get your house in order, go help your neighbor. And once you can help your neighbor, go help your community. And then we can sit down at dinner and then we can talk about whatever politic or policy or whatever. So people talk to me about people and like relationships going on in the news. I'm like, I really don't know.
I'm kind of like that as well, guys. I like to kind of stay a bit kind of apolitical. I like to stay a little bit kind of distant from all that stuff because it just breeds hate, guys. Watch Wes Watson, watch David Goggins, watch Liver King, watch Tate, watch these guys that give you motivation, guys, to train, to do better in life. You know, everything else is just kind of a side point, like, in my opinion.
I'll joke around and be like, hey, you know I don't know. That's an attack on my character. That's fucking strike one for you, man. But the truth is I really don't know.
Right.
And what I actually know about Andrew Tate is so superficial, surface level. You know, so what I'll say is this. There's nothing toxic about masculinity. I believe that men and women are not created equally. Right, I believe that we are complementary and we're complementary opposites of one another. Right, this is why a man is called a man and a woman is called a woman, because we're complementary opposites. Right, I believe that a man is purpose built for physical strength, to fight, to protect, and to fight, to protect, and to provide. Right, I believe that a woman is purpose built for social and emotional strength, to nurture, to nourish, to caretake, and to compassion make. For her complementary opposite. From an intellectual and spiritual standpoint, I'm sure it's a level playing field. But we need one another as complementary opposites to express our highest and most dominant form holistically. Right? So I don't know if you can assign whatever adjective you want to that. Right? But the thing is, I know that men are really hurting today. Right, and so I do believe, like I said earlier, that I think the modern day manicured man, he knows that he's meant for more. He doesn't know how to achieve it, right? And guess what? He wants to be with an 8, 9, or 10. And when I say that, I don't just mean it physically, right? He wants to level up, but guess what? You got to fucking level up to do that. To attract your complementary opposite. Yeah. I talk to my kids about this all the time. Like, listen, if you want to be with a 10, you got to be a 10.
Yeah, because, okay, this is the thing about fitness, is that for a lot of men, you know, you are aware of the things that you could do that would make you more desirable to the opposite sex or the same sex, if that's how you swing. You know, you can have money, you can have cars, you can have a nice house, you could have, you know, a great job or like a lifestyle that would attract a girl or whatever. But if you're a guy with a regular job and you don't really have a lot going for you, your fitness is realistically the most achievable thing. You know, you could become a fucking gym rat and get in great shape. And at the very least, when a woman looks at you, she's going to be able to see, this is a guy who has mastery, at least over this one part of his life. And that's the thing that I think is important about fitness and why I really want to lose weight. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with like how I'm viewed or whatever. You know, I've been in a relationship for 6 years. It's not like I really think that's going to change anything in my personal life. But it's the kind of thing where if you exhibit to the world that you have complete control over the most obvious part of your presentation, then that tells the whole world that you're in control of your shit, and that
true,
can go a long way.
That's very true, guys. Your personal body is the first manifestation of creating your vision for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? You're thinking, okay, I want to have the money, the cars, all this kind of stuff, house, girl, this kind of stuff, but how can I first start off? It starts with your physique, guys. You know, that should start, you know what I mean? I started when I was 15, 16. I think that might start in your 20s, maybe your 30s, but that's kind of the first thing. Oh, I can craft my vision like a video game. If I'm a man, I can craft my vision. I can look a certain way as a man. I can work out every single day and be disciplined and get that kind of manifestation. And then eventually the money and stuff will come, guys, because if you take the amount of effort that you put into your body, into anything else in life, that you're gonna get it, guys.
That could maybe be the start of you getting into relationships with the people you want to be with, or being able to, you know, go further in life, have people like you more, etc. Your fitness is the one thing that you could just sort of, you know, change your grocery shopping or get a gym membership, and all of a sudden you're in the game, you know?
Yeah, strength is absolutely like the fundamental virtue of man. Right. No other value exists without strength. You got to be alive to philosophize. You need strength. So I always say, the way that we look bare-chested and the way that we talk, these are outward expressions of what we believe. You show me a man bare-chested, you let me have a 10-minute conversation with him, figure out what their philosophies, their principles are, what do they fight for in life, and I'll tell you if I want that man in my tribe if the zombie apocalypse comes. This is what I like to tell people, because a lot of people are like, oh, why don't you wear a shirt? You know, how come you don't shave your face? Why do you do this stuff? I'm like, well, this is how I've been living for a long fucking time. I'm not going to not do that once I've gotten on social media. But you know what? I wish other people did it too.
Right.
You know, come over to my house. Guess what? We're going swimming. We're going to fucking hang out, my man. We're going to talk for a little while. And if you won't let that guard down, and if you won't reveal your character, you know, then I don't know enough inputs to know if I want you in my ecosystem or not. But guess what? I'm not surprised when I see a giant like Joe Rogan that's jacked and ripped, articulate as fucking hell, doing what nobody's ever done before, right? Because how you do anything is how you do everything. I'm not surprised. Every once in a while, actually I shouldn't say every once in a while, a lot of times you see influencers that are going online that have great physiques, but I always say that cheating doesn't scale, right? They have great physiques, but they're not investing the time to develop themselves socially, emotionally, to deeply connect, which we got to be able to do, you know, to create impact. And they're not sharpening their mental sword. And you can tell by their language. This is why language is so important, because we assign meaning, you know, to what we hear and to what we say. And so I think over time, if you create value, people will pay for value over time.
Let me tell you though, it's so much worse than you probably think it is in terms of how fried these young kids' minds are by social media and their phones. Where I'm telling you that, like, you know, when we used to have the store on Melrose, I would be around a lot of young people, you know, just who were sort of in the store and hanging out, friends of friends coming around. And so I'm really getting to kind of see what the mind of an average, you know, 18-year-old, 20-year-old, whatever it is in society. And so many of them just seem like they're so lacking in social skills because they're just so used to being able to be on their phone. And you'd see it manifest in weird ways where, you know, somebody'd be like lurking around, like friend of a friend in the group. And then all of a sudden he's like tweeting some shit talk or like putting some shit on his Instagram story that night or some shit, and we're like, whoa, like this dude is so raised by the internet that he thinks that this is a normal way to communicate. And meanwhile, like, we're really being around people on a day-to-day basis and having to actually be able to thrive in this environment.
Yeah, guys, I make a note to go out and socialize like every weekend or every second week, or just with friends of friends of friends and loads. I always have lots of friends, because me, like, pretty much living on the internet now, that can breed bad things. Because people that aren't self-aware, this is what, like I said in that last video that I did, self-awareness is like the most important thing you guys can have. Because if you're not self-aware on how you're treating people, how you're being in real life, guys, do you know what I mean? Then being on the internet 24/7, it just kind of, you know what I mean, it makes it worse, guys. It makes you like less social, makes you all these less things, guys. So be very careful and vigilant if you're just constantly streaming the internet, guys, and not talking to people, guys. You're kind of living like an echo chamber.
You need a lot of, you know, social skills and a lot of street smarts.
This is up to parents. You know, this is up to parents and role models. You know,
True.
I take my kids almost everywhere I go, and when I do that, I make them talk to girls. You know, I remember the first time I did that. They literally couldn't talk. And I don't know if you remember when you first started doing that. I do too, and I was horrific.
Terrifying.
Okay, so, you know, and it wasn't until I had done it hundreds of times that it was okay. You know, and then it became my way of life. And then I remember
the Battle of Stalingrad.
Just that. I remember, like, back when I was 18, 19, like, talking to chicks for the first time, guys. The shit, like, because they were always old, like, you know what I mean? Because I think even just no confidence, no nothing. Now it's like obviously nothing, right? But like I'm older, but like once you start doing that, guys, you're gonna be just bricking it all the time.
I was on a chairlift and I saw a girl. And I was like, okay, I see a girl. This is what I do. I'm going to go take a rep. This is how I met my soulmate. Right. Because I take those reps because of the social interaction, because our ability to connect deeply.
Right.
And you get so much out of that. So I want to just make sure, my kids also have that skill. I believe that you can learn that skill. But I see the same thing. I see this sort of really awkward interaction and how people are attempting to communicate today.
Right.
And there's this connection that's missing. And so again, this is one of my 9 ancestral tenets. I say, put down the goddamn phone and let's do this stuff real life in person. And guess what? The first several times it's going to be horrific, right? But I just tell my kids, hey, just to say, first say it with your body language. I tell them, say it with your body language. And I always say, listen, it's not even what you say, it's how you say it. People rarely remember what you ever said. They're going to remember how you made them feel. So what you need to do is go over there, and you already know your worth, value, and potential. You keep your shoulders back. You keep your chest up. Hey, how's it going?
I look back on times where I did that in my life, like times where I, just cold approached a girl at the coffee shop and sparked up a conversation and got her phone number. That could be the best fucking feeling in the world, because for some reason the most basic human interaction can be the most overwhelming feeling if you're a dude, just sparking up a conversation. But you understand why, is because, a lot of girls are like in the most guarded mental state possible when they're out in public, because such a large percentage of the dudes who try to have a conversation with them are going to be the weirdest motherfuckers on earth,
So this is what we're up against.
Yeah.
And I tell them, so we rehearse this. I'm like, listen, it hardly ever goes well. They look weird. They can't believe somebody's talking to them.
Right.
Or a lot of times when we go places, they might be touristy places. These young girls are with their families, And so it's acknowledging the dad too. Hey, dad, how's it going? Really just want to say hi to your daughter.
Yeah.
And again, like it's just getting those reps in. So because of this environment, because of what people...
He a menace for that. He is a menace for that, man. Imagine trying to, yo, let me just holler at your daughter for a second.
People expect today, they're up against a wall, but we're going to keep doing this, right? This is important to me. You know the value in it. It's going to be rarely rare. You're going to have outliers that have achieved a whole lot in life. And I think you're going to have outliers that also have fulfillment. But I believe that you need this skill. You need to be able to deeply connect to really, truly be fulfilled. And that's going to help you to achieve whatever you're going after.
I love it, guys. Absolutely legendary, man. Shout out to Adam22 on No Jumper Clips, man. Go check him out. What do you guys think, man? I totally agree with that. Leave in the comments down below. I'm going to try enter the Manosphere very soon, guys. I'm putting out a bunch of videos, self-help, women videos, all that kind of stuff. I love helping people with that kind of shit, guys. That kind of stuff just, fires me up. I love you guys all, man. Make sure to stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.